Tree Country 1330 WTRE. Good morning. It's 7:29, and welcome, Mayor Marsh.
Good morning, Emily, and happy Thursday to everyone out in WTRE country.
That's right. This week's gone fast, I think.
It has. It's been kind of busy and hectic, and everybody's moving right along. Spring is well underway.
This was your first week of the, let's call them marathon meetings.
Yes, and it went incredibly well. It was a really good use of everyone's time, and we started at 5:30 with the water board. We got some updates from Darren Burkhart with HNTB about our SRF. So there, we'll just put two acronyms in one sentence. The State Revolving Fund, which we're looking at options for some of our large-scale capital projects that we've identified that need to be tackled. The biggest driver of that, of course, is North Broadway, where we've had two and a half, three significant failures and about four pretty substantial failures that weren't quite as impactful as the others. So we are looking at that from First Street all the way up and under the bypass to sort of by where the driveway to Rural King is on Broadway, and then all the way from Broadway over to Lincoln Street on 10th, which is the connection there, so that goes towards El Reparos down to Aldi. So that is a pretty substantial water main replacement project. And then there's a couple others that are inclusive of, a West End loop, some work for the Park Road project that's upcoming, but we needed to be sure. We've built some of those into our rates. We've kind of got a long-term plan for that. We are looking at some state revolving fund dollars, which is a lower interest loan type program through the state of Indiana. We can use the AAA credit rating of the state. In that program, we've done those before. They allow us to be a little more aggressive in getting the infrastructure in place, improved, installed, and then we can, work on, it goes into our rates, just kind of like we would with capital. So we built some capital in and now these. So we're looking at those options, and he talked a little bit about that grant process. Of course, like a lot of other things at the state level, it's all a little bit in flux after the legislative session and agencies, getting new leadership under the new governor and kind of understanding where they're headed.
Now, with that project, what kind of time span would that take? Do we have any ideas on that yet?
Well, everybody always talks about how government moves slow. It's not necessarily because we want to move slow. There's a lot of hurdles. I had a really good conversation with someone last week about innovation in government. I'm like, I get that. I want us to be efficient, and I want us to move at the speed of business. There's lots of rules and regulations that are set up that prevent us from doing that. So when we start looking at engineering municipal utility work, so we've already started that process. We had to do a PER first, right? Just one of those hurdles of a preliminary engineering report that was completed in the fall, and so we are now into the engineering phase. I believe the intent is to have it engineered late summer, mid-fall, and then we would look at our funding structure with hopefully we could maybe get construction started in 26. And then as far as construction, I don't know where we would be on that, but probably, hope to bring it online, I'll just say by the end of 27. I know that that's not a very good guess, but when you start looking back on it, that's 25, 26, 27 to do a pretty significant water main replacement. Consideration we have to take into effect there is there's a lot of truck traffic from KB. There is obviously our street and fire departments that were put in. This project was sort of identified as that project was happening, but they couldn't run concurrently. We just really couldn't tackle all that at one time. But, we have to be considerate of traffic flows and accessibility as well. But we'll see. So, yeah, maybe 3 years from start to finish, which actually isn't too bad, but not maybe as quick as some would like.
It just seems on the outside very slow moving, but it's all the pieces that have to be put together.
It's a lot of pieces. It's a lot of parts. There's a lot of stuff under the streets that we don't see, other utilities. And then we are also getting under the bypass is a very big hurdle. That is a state road. It is a limited access highway, which comes with its own set of classifications. And we will actually have to, it's called jack and bore, but it's conceptually, we just drill horizontally from one kind of big hole to another big hole, and then you insert your infrastructure horizontally. So there won't be any open cuts. We're not allowed to open cut the bypass, and then we can sort of insert that. So that takes a long time. It's not a cheap way to do it, but it's one of those things where it's not our property, and that's the rules, and we have to comply with the rules. Again, requires more engineering, planning, design. And at the same point in time we're in there doing that water line work, we are also going to do the sewer that runs from sort of the north end there behind like El Chile Poblano and that space, and runs south under the bypass down to 10th. So that needs to be replaced, and we are going to work on probably a lift station and some forced main in there as well. So we're going to be able to do both at one time, which is a great cost efficiency component because we don't have to come in and set all that up twice. And then we are also engineering it at the same time so that we can make sure that both work with each other.
Very good. Coming down the line. Any other happenings during those meetings?
That was sort of the big one. Obviously, there were some updates to the Redevelopment Commission regarding properties. The one that is sort of on hold as it relates to the Redevelopment Commission is the apartments in downtown that we've been talking about for 2 years. This is quite nerve-wracking to me, but again, back to that same thing at the state level. The Indiana Economic Development Corporation has pretty much went on pause for just about anything and everything that they're involved in. There's been a lot of discussion with the new governor about that, and some items that he has questions about. The biggest driver that's affecting us, this was talked about at the county commissioners meeting as well, is the pause of Ready 2.0 money and the lack of timelines for distribution. We've got commitments on the table. The county's got commitments on the table. Those apartments have Ready 2.0 dollars in them, and we can't get a timeline as to when they'll be made available. So that is slightly on pause. That developer also has RTCs with IEDC, two acronyms in a sentence. They're redevelopment tax credits that are a state-issued incentive as well. Those are on pause, so they haven't given them any feedback or answers to that. They were supposed to have those by like mid-January or early February, and they can't seem to get an answer about those for them. But then we wouldn't be able to proceed if we don't have commitments from the Ready 2.0 dollars. The Ready 2 dollars were in the previous budget. They are not in the current budget, so it is not one of those things where, you know, the state's deficit that was from the projections, which I have a whole big set of opinions on, but we'll skip over those. Then the dollars are there, they're in place. Communities, private companies, organizations have made commitments based on that commitment, and it's leading to a lot of frustration and angst and timelines that are kind of being destroyed. You know, the idea was that those apartments were supposed to be under construction by like June. And we're not going to make that at this point simply because it couldn't move. The paperwork could not move quick enough if everything was greenlit tomorrow. And it's not going to be greenlit tomorrow. So I don't know where that's going to end up, but that was an update to the RDC. We're not really changing anything. We're just in a holding pattern for the most part. So we'll see what comes of that.
And there's really no definitive timeline or anything with that Ready 2.0 money at this point.
At this point, no. When it was originally released, the timeline commitment, I believe, was the dollars had to be spent by the end of 2028. That included, obviously, construction season 2025. And at this kind of rate, we are trying to get 2025's construction season in. But if money doesn't start flowing pretty quickly, that's going to get missed. So then you start looking at, okay, well, now we have 26, 27, 28. That becomes a little bit tighter when you look at Ready 1 money that has to be spent by the end of 2026. All of that money is tied to the federal release, federal government. So that has to be spent by the end of 26. The lack of distribution is starting to push on the end timeline.
Has there been much communication from the state with that reasoning?
No.
Simple answer.
Period.
Yes.
We're in a holding pattern. What does that mean? We're in a holding pattern.
Yep.
Okay. And you know, I'll quote Superintendent Tom Hunter. One of his lines he often says is, "The golden rule is those who have the gold rule." And it's one of those things of they've got the money and they're in charge of distributing the money, and we'll wait on them, I guess. But we are pushing. I mean, not only us, our region continues to be one of the top performance regions in the state. We are used as a model. We are working really, really, really well together and kind of hitting on all cylinders. And this is not helpful in any capacity. But then at the same point in time, lots of other regions are also pushing very hard to get it moved forward. And you know, there's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of projects, and there's a lot of private investment tied to these dollars as well. If you remember back, the READY requirement is for every $1 of READY dollars, there has to be $1 of local match and $3 of private match. So when we're talking about $500 million in READY money, that equates to a lot of private match. I believe it was over $1 billion worth of private commitment in the state of Indiana as a part of that project. So it is well worth doing. They're great programs. They've been incredibly successful, but we'll see.
See what happens.
Yeah. READY 1 remains pretty unaffected. READY 2 is the one that's affected. So we're still plugging away and pushing forward with READY 1. There's no risk to those projects outside of the end of the spending window. We do have to make very substantial progress by the end of 2025, but we're on pace for that.
All right. Let's talk downtown. Intersection still closed.
Yeah, that's a READY 1 project.
It's a READY 1 project.
Yeah, so no concerns there. They are making really good progress. There's a ton of stormwater work that's being done subsurface down there. I should have probably gotten an update on openings of that. I would think in the next week or so we should probably see that get reopened. I saw the concrete truck was in there this morning pouring concrete early on. So I think the intention is to keep us moving. Hopefully next week when we're here, we'll have if it's not open by then, a more confirmed date.
So exciting.
It is.
I'm so ready for that.
And everybody's open. I commend Main Street. Main Street Greensburg's been doing a great job. If you hop on their social media platforms, they've sort of started a drawing so you can win a gift card for downtown businesses. Go check those out. Everybody's still accessible. I was just in a game plan the other day. It's super easy to get into, no big deal. And courthouse access will remain open, through the entirety of the event.
So go shop.
That's right.
Everything's open.
That's right.
Might have to walk a little piece, but not far.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, we've got a great downtown to walk in.
We do.
So just take a little stroll.
You can do more shopping.
That's right.
As you walk by other stores.
That sounds like a really good reason to stop in a couple places.
And you get your exercise.
That's right.
It all works.
That's correct.
We had grants going in that wrapped up last week for some home improvement.
Yep, the OOR program, the owner occupied rehab. We did end up with a pretty fair number, so we're going to look at those. Doesn't mean that the application won't be reopened later if we don't have enough qualified applicants or if projects don't come to fruition. But at this point, we think we're going to be able to hit our spending threshold, which is great. So we're going to work on getting that money activated. The entirety of the applications are being scored now. We're working with ARA, who's our administrative resources. That's our grant firm. And they are reviewing the applications, getting those scored according to the rubrics and making sure that the individual's information that's submitted is accurate and qualified individuals. Then it will shift over to selection of probably the first 10 to 15 applicants for the next phase of review, which includes the financial disclosures, etc. Then it will shift into in-home inspections and discussion, then shift towards construction. So we are, the intent is to get a lot of that done before winter, and right now we're on schedule for that. So it should be good, should be a positive, and the number of applicants that we received really gives us an opportunity to find the best bang for the buck.
Is there a timeline as to when that money has to be spent?
It has to be spent by the 18 months from award, so it would be like mid-fall, early fall of next year.
Okay, so plenty of time yet on the table to get.
Yes.
Very good. You guys announced this week the new flags going up across the city.
Yeah, for the veterans banners.
Yes.
So those, the ones that are up are from the original bicentennial in 2022. That was July of 22. So we're just a little over 2 years. The intent was to keep them up for about 2 years. And it's one of those projects that, always kind of kept getting bumped a little bit, but we have partnered with the Decatur County Community Foundation's Veterans Fund. So we are going to we've managed the process, and we will get those up and installed. We've been working with Green Signs to get them printed. They did the first round, and the Community Foundation's Veterans Fund is funding the banner replacement. So those will probably be up for about 2 years. And we did a call for names and applicants. We were able to take 80, which is great. So there were some that applied that didn't. We did it on a first come, first serve, and completed correct application. So we just started at the top and worked our way down. So we've got a great group of veterans from a lot of the eras. I don't know if there's every era covered, but we're very excited to see those go up. We got a little bit of a different design, kind of spruce it up, change it up a little bit. The intent is to get those up before Memorial Day. Of course, before Memorial Day is Heavy Trash Week, so our team is very, very busy over the next couple weeks. But we will start, or we are replacing them all the way from 421 in Memorial, which is there sort of by the Travel Plaza, Big Sky Steakhouse, all the way around down Veterans Way, and then over on Lincoln all the way down to Main Street. So full banner replacement. And then we are also going to insert 1/3 of the banners will become like a rotating community seasonal type banner. So the first one that goes up will be for the farmers market downtown, sort of saying, hey, it's on Fridays, come down and visit the farmers market. And then those will get switched out for fall festival and for the holiday walk, and then the winter months as well. So we're 2/3 veterans and 1/3 sort of community oriented banners, which is great.
Very nice. And if one of the banners that's currently up is something that you would like to do to a family member, those you can pick up at City Hall once they come down?
Yep, we will have those available after Memorial Day, so the Tuesday through Friday after Memorial Day at City Hall, 8 to noon, 1 to 4. You can come in, pick it up. You'll have to kind of like sign for it. You'll just have to say, hey, this is who it is, picked it up, and phone number. That way, if we get somebody that comes in and was like, well, that was my grandpa, then we can know where it went. I would encourage you to only pick up ones that are directly related to you. And I understand that, maybe you have siblings and maybe the sibling wants to come. I encourage you to coordinate that. We only have one. And we will keep them, that week. And then after that, we're just going to dispose of them. So if it is something that you're interested in having, then you'll need to come. You need to make arrangements to be at City Hall, Tuesday through Friday after Memorial Day. Don't come before, don't come after, but that will be the opportunity to pick those up.
All right, you touched on Heavy Trash Week.
It's coming May 19th through the 23rd, so that is the week right before Memorial Day. Get it all cleaned up. I know some folks have already started setting stuff out. This is my weekly plead to try not to do it 2 days before, maybe your event or your day, so it will be on the same day as your normal trash pickup. We will not do brush and leaves that week, so plan accordingly for that. And one of the changes for 2025 is that this is the only one. We're not going to do one in August. The amount that we picked up just doesn't really warrant it, and our crews think that we can get it done in 1 week, so this is the one and only. So, also plan for that. Don't think about, we'll get the one in August. There isn't one in August. And then it always rains during Heavy Trash Weeks. Always. And I feel so bad for our team who have to, deal with all the cardboard and the wet couches and the mattresses and things like that. So be cognizant of that. If you're going to set something out right in front of a monsoon, if you could help them out and set it out after the monsoon, they would be eternally grateful for that, I'm sure. The things that we will take, of course, mattresses, box springs, bed frames, cabinets, etc. We'll take a small amount of cardboard. In the past, we've had just an inordinate amount of cardboard, and everybody, again, this is for city residents only, so you can't bring your stuff in and put it. It's part of the monthly trash fee that everyone in the city pays. But we've had an inordinate amount of cardboard, but we offer curbside recycling through the Decatur County Solid Waste District, so that's a great opportunity to slowly put that cardboard into the recycle stream. So, we'll pick up some cardboard, but we're really not interested in, pallets and pallets and pallets of cardboard. So we may ask you to put that in your recycle can. You can always take recycling out to Best Way and put it in the recycle facility out there. Furniture items, we will take some appliances, but you have to have the compressors removed and the gases. So, keep that in mind. Some things that we do not take, really like large scale construction debris. If you've got a cabinet from a kitchen remodel or something, that's fine. But in the past, we've seen, pallets of tile and full on gutted bathrooms. So very minimal construction debris. If you've replaced carpet or something, we'll take that, but we just don't need a whole house, which again, these are real stories.
These things happen.
These things do happen. Tires and batteries, we do not take at all. We will just leave those. They will get tagged, and you're responsible for that. Electronics, we don't take any electronics. We don't take paints, batteries, etc. Chemicals, we don't take stone, dirt, unbagged trash, right? So keep that in mind as well. If you've got items, please, help our team out. We do 4,000 customers a week for trash service. We do regular trash service that week as well. So anything you can do to help expedite and make their lives a little bit easier is much appreciated.
It's a very good service that's offered, but don't abuse it.
Yeah. I think that's some great advice.
Yes.
And our team works very diligently every week, but this week especially on schedule. And I know sometimes people are like, well, my trash can's always picked up by 10 a.m. and they're still not here. It just is a lot slower process. Our entire team is dedicated to making sure that we're getting everything picked up. A lot of the big stuff gets picked up with our brush truck, which is like the big claw. And so, that can only hold so much, and it's got to go dump and come back. And the teams that are on the trash truck, they pick up some of those stuff because the compactors are a great way to dispose of a lot of that. So there's a lot going on, and it's a big week for the team, but they work really hard at it, and it is a great service. We're glad to provide it, but we just have to kind of keep refining.
Don't abuse it.
We keep refining what pieces and parts there are that we will take, and we are obviously also taking it to the landfill. So we have to be careful that we're not, tires and batteries and appliances are not allowed to go to the landfill.
Right.
So we need to be careful that we don't end up with those in our waste stream.
All right. Tonight is the first community night, right?
It is. So there's two things this evening. One being at 4:00 at City Hall. The open house starts for Future 3, which is the State Road 3 safety planning open house. It's an open house style. It starts at 4, and I think it goes till 7. I think 7.
Yeah.
So, come early. It'll definitely be open at 5. It may not be open at 7:30. So come over, visit with us. We'll have our consultants there. They're doing these all up and down. So maybe the first one was last night, and there's one tonight, maybe one tomorrow. Henry, Rush, and Decatur counties. This is the Decatur County one. We've partnered, the city of Greensburg's partnering with Decatur County commissioners, and then of course Rushville and Rush County, and then Henry County as well. So it's a great different regional partnership to better understand and hear about the future concerns and safety needs of State Road 3 from US 421 here in Greensburg. So they are by the movie theaters all the way up and through the I-70 interchange. So it's a really great opportunity to come out and chat. There's no RSVP. There's no real presentation. It's just discussion. So come in anytime. We'll be glad to have you. It starts at 4 at City Hall. Come in the front doors. And it's in the big multi-purpose room right there in the middle. So you can check that out. And then starting at 6 o'clock, we will be over on Maureen Road, which is out in Fairview Addition, Terror Road out in that, sort of in the back. Come out. We have our first public safety community cookout tonight, 6 to 8. Looks like the weather's going to be okay. I missed your weather report this morning.
There's a slight chance of rain, but I think it's more this afternoon is what Randy said. So
there's always a chance of rain.
There's always a chance of rain, it's spring.
We've done these in the rain. We've done them in the sleet. We've done them in the blazing sun.
Uh-huh.
So I don't know that we've done one in snow.
No, but one of the fall ones was really cold, though.
Yeah.
Like could have been borderline snow, I think.
I think it was sleet. Yeah.
Okay.
That one was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that one. But, these are great events that we look forward to doing every year. We do have a slightly different schedule this year as, we did the mock car crash with Greensburg High School. That was one of our events. We have this one. We have another one in June that is sort of east of the fire station, between the fire station and Lincoln Street up there. And then we have July at the fair. August is the big one out at North Park. And then we're doing one out at the high school. So there's in the fall with a football game. So there's only a couple to partake in this year. So come out. It should be a lot of fun. I don't even know what we're having.
Something on the grill.
The police and fire set up and take care of the food items for us. Should be a great time. Connect with our first responders, meet the neighbors. It's open to everyone. You don't have to live in the neighborhood. You don't even have to technically live in the city of Greensburg. You can just come out, have dinner, check out some of the equipment. It's a great opportunity for kids to look at the fire trucks and the police cars, and play some games, and just sort of one of those community events that's very low key. We love doing like the street fair style, where it's not just in a parking lot, and individual neighbors can walk over, and it's in the neighborhood. We've moved them around every year. Obviously, we go back to North Park for the big one in August, but we've done pretty good about not repeating. And it's kind of fun when you look at the map over the 5 years I've been here. We started these in 2020, 21. And where we've been. And so it's getting a little bit harder to find neighborhoods that we haven't been to. So we've not been down into the Fairview area. So we're going down there tonight.
Tonight. It'll be good. It's a good time to connect, too. I think for the kids especially, meet fire and police when it's not in that critical moment, and have more of that trust built with them. And
one of our top objectives with this is that when individuals, including kids and adults, are having the worst day of their life, maybe, is when our folks show up. And that's a very traumatic experience. It's not something that, people build trust in or build relationships in. So today's not the day to have that happen. So you get an opportunity, kids get the opportunity to see fire gear and not be afraid of it. If they're looking for a child in a home that is on fire, the kids should be, that's not scary. I know that, I've seen that before, kind of thing. So obviously priority number one. And then we also, talk to a lot of folks who have concerns. I go to as many of them as I can. I think I've only missed one or two probably over the last 5 years just due to schedules. But, it's great opportunity for residents to share concerns or thoughts or comments. And I welcome that. We always have our tent set up, and I'm always around. So we look forward to those opportunities to not only connect about what's happening in the neighborhood that we're in, but also what's happening elsewhere, and welcome those conversations about what's going on at any point in time.
That's tonight, don't forget.
Yeah, 6 to 8 out on Maureen Road in Fairview Edition. Come out and see us.
All right. And then state, things have been still quiet coming from the state area. Any update from budget or?
Not really. We kind of continue. I keep working with our financial folks to they're working on building a model for all of their clients to sort of look at what that looks like as it relates to SB1. The state's budget conversation obviously is done at this point. It appears that there will not be a special session. There's been no discussion about that. So I think what we've got at the moment is what we've got. And then we will have to work off of that. As we've been talking about, there is an income tax component to SB1. That was the part that was not talked about very much out of the Indianapolis conglomerate. So, looking at how does that affect everyone locally, because it will be a pretty significant change to income taxes. So we've got to better understand what that looks like and how to plan for and model that as well. One of the biggest problems with that is that data doesn't actually exist. DLGF, the Department of Local Government Finance, doesn't actually, and DOR, Department of Revenue, which is the taxing agency, doesn't really have that data set. So I don't know how they expect us to plan when the data doesn't exist, which is odd, but that's okay. So we're keeping an eye on that. Pretty quiet, mostly, and everyone's in the same position we are. I was at our spring 2-day conference last week, and everyone's sort of in the same vein of not really understanding it. It is affecting, all units of government up and down, from the smallest to the largest in units of government and in populations. It's just a different number, but it's still very, very impactful. So we will see how that looks.
There's just no direction at this point.
Correct.
So, All right, so as we're working on the Broadway project, wrapping that intersection up, but any other projects as we're entering spring that we'll be seeing pop up across the city?
The ones that are currently underway are the big ones. Obviously we have our City Council Board of Works meeting next week. We're going to talk about some add-ons that will help facilitate a more complete project again, but those are sort of already in the works. The East Side Trail project, the first concert's in June. We will be done by that date. That's the goal. And they are supposed to start putting some pavement down, I believe, in the next few weeks. So we will start to see that really come to fruition out there, which is great. I've seen some folks already using the trail bed to do the gravel. So that's phenomenal to see, getting it connected over to the library. The library is adding a story walk. So we're excited to see that project get wrapped up. Part of the Next Level Trails grant program. So we were able to bring some money back from Indianapolis back to our community for that one, too.
All right. Well, so much going on. It's springtime.
That's right.
It keeps us busy, right?
That's right.
All right. Well, thanks for coming in this week, catching us up on all that's happening.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week. We'll see you tonight at one of our 2 events. And if not, we'll chat next Thursday.